What's up, children of the sun? I know I've been gone for a minute. Been trying to get my rest and set up some different things in my apartment. So been kind of not really busy, but just kind of keeping to myself and working on my own mental health. You know what I mean? Sometimes you got to rest. But been watching some YouTube. Got me a new desk. You guys can't see it here, of course, because it's here. I spent like 2 hours putting it together, but today I just wanted to watch some videos of mermaids and sirens, sea demons, fallen angels, and more. Oh my, it's a lot of stuff. So I thought I might as well get on here and watch it with you guys. And, if you have some comments or whatever, that's great. We're just gonna do it together because I was like, why not? Um, let's see what's this about. Let me get it started first. And press play.
Swim in like streams, rivers, open water sources, things like that. And it's a story about this guy. He was there to take a shower, as everyone does, but he was there by himself at a particular time. And he obviously, mermaids, these are called sirens technically. They sing, and it was luring him out deeper into the stream because when you're just taking a shower, you don't have to go that far. So it was taking him in places that people usually don't go all the way there. They take him, trap him under the water. He's gone. What's so crazy is that he comes back on land, like he's on the land now.
This is saying Haitian folklore. It seemed like I've heard a story like this. I actually saw a movie recently. I'm gonna try to find that movie because I've heard about. There's at least black mythos stories of these uh, female creatures that drag men under the ocean and but they don't die. Like they can actually live under there as long as. I mean, it does sound like Little Mermaid stuff, but I've actually heard these stories before.
And now he was gone. He came back. He's on the land now. He's on the land. He's like, everybody sees him and they're like, what? Like, did you just rise up from the dead? And he's like looking at them like, what do you mean? Like, what's like what? Like, I just went to go take a shower. Like, what are you guys talking about? They're like, you've been missing for years. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, all I could remember is I took a shower and he was just missing. So what people were telling him within the community, like, what was the last thing? Like, what happened? Like, you took a shower. What was the last thing? He said, all I remember is I heard somebody singing, and this is all obviously in Creole. This is in Haiti. He said, I heard somebody singing, and I followed that sound. And he said that's all he remembers. Obviously, the folklore in the Caribbean on mermaids is that once they lure you into whatever body of water that they lure you into, it doesn't matter if it's a sea, ocean, river, whatever, a ravine, whatever. If they do not kill you, automatically you become their servant. So you are, as by the time that they get you, they can make you sustainable to be able to live underwater for the time that you were their servant. So this guy basically was their servant, whatever, the mermaid, whatever, and then they brought him back up when they were done with him. And he doesn't know, he didn't age, he doesn't know what happened. It was like they like touched him, brainwashed, he didn't know what.
Yeah, they can make you forget stuff. They're probably using him as a sex slave. I mean, the movie that I saw is a black movie. It might have been that oh gosh, I can't remember. Anyways, I won't like put a name out there, but until I figure it out. But these guys, they were being led into this ocean and under the water, and there was like this nightclub. Like if they were daring to, go below, all of a sudden it just became an oh, someone's stealing children. Sorry, excuse me, guys. The Amber Alert. They were like, they go below the ocean. Speaking about stealing people, and when they get down there, it wouldn't be like an ocean. It would be like a nightclub. It was like all blue and stuff, and there was music playing. There was nothing but women and strippers and stuff. And but this will be the thing that will be in their head. Like they would feel like they were at a nightclub, but it would be that they would be gone for a long time. And to them, they were gone maybe a night. So the guy, he returned home, and his all his clothes were wet, and his girlfriend was like, "Where you been at?" So he was getting caught. Like he was like, "I just went to this club," and like, "No, you've been gone for a long time." So I've heard similar stories to this effect. All right.
went up the water, and that's all he remembers is he took a shower.
So my parents were very religious. My mother used to do Bible study at our neighbor's house every Thursday. So one Thursday, she was getting ready to go to Bible study, and I always attended Bible study with her. So she was getting ready in her room. While I was in the backyard, I could see through the house. I looked through the house. I saw my mother leaving to go to the Bible study. So I ran after her. She started walking faster and faster. I called her name. I screamed her name. She never turned around. I walked faster and faster, trying to catch up with her. I could not catch up with my mom. She went through a corridor that was really, really dark. I went through the corridor, which was the wrong way, but I didn't question anything because that was my mom. So finally, she stopped near the ocean. I finally caught up with my mother. I grabbed her hand. I grabbed her clothes, and I said, "Mom, I've been running after you. Why didn't you stop? And what are we doing here?" This person just turned around and looked at me. It was a totally different woman. I have never seen this woman before, and I never see her again. So I let her hand go, and I ran back home. I ran for my life. And when I got home, surprise, surprise, my mother was wearing the same outfit that this woman, whoever she was wearing. Yeah.
So my mom has a cousin in Haiti, and he was at a mashi, which you would call
That's like a doppelganger, or what do they call that when there's a spirit entity mimics one of your family members and tries to make you think it's them, usually to get you to walk a certain place or to guide you off somewhere, or skinwalkers. I think, is that what they call them? That might be something else. Yeah, you got to watch out for that, especially if you live in a very high spiritual density area, coastal water.
a farmer's market in English, right? They be having like all kinds of natural stuff out, herbs, medicine, vegetables, fruits, whatever you need for yourself. So he sees this fine girl. Mind you, mermaids, they can shapeshift, right? They can shapeshift into very, very beautiful beings. So he sees this light-skinned girl with ginger hair. He walks up to her. Mind you, she's not saying a single word to this man. She's just shaking her head up and down and looks at him. So she has her sack. I don't know what they call it, honestly, in English, but it's like this big bowl or something, and they'll put their stuff in like an island. One would carry it on their heads. So she finished getting all her stuff right. He's like, "Let me carry this for her." So he puts it on his bicycle. They start walking. I think he was like trying to walk her home or something. So mind you, they in Udale, which means like the countryside or outside from the city. So they walking in the woods and they come across this tourist. He looks at Shawty and he says, "So how you finna get home or get across this river, bro? Tell me why Shawty walk up to the river, looks at kid, grabs it. The river splits open and she jumps in there. He had passed out and didn't speak to nobody for like a month straight. I think it was a month or 10 days. I'm not really sure. I gotta ask my mom. But he didn't speak to nobody. I'm surprised she didn't grab him and take him with her because they're known for like kidnapping people. Because like what they do, they would shapeshift in like a beautiful form and they would kidnap. But I'm gonna save that story for another day.
Just a little bit, and then I'm gonna translate it for you guys in English.
Too many stories like this. A lot of witches.
He said that back in the day, when they used to go to church, there was this witch. One morning, they came to church on Sunday, and the pastor, and they're a really good, genuine pastor with real serious power in Haiti. I can't speak for anywhere else, but I know in Haiti, they be some real godly people. The pastor goes, "I know that there are some people who come to church that are witches. On Saturday, y'all fly and y'all will do all of these evil acts, and then on Sunday, y'all come to church trying to pretend like y'all good people. But I know exactly what you are, and I can see through you. And I'm warning you right now, when it comes time to receive communion, if you come in and you get communion, I promise you that it will be stuck in your throat." You know how it is, right? People just be like, "They're bluffing, kidding. Ain't no way. Ain't no way." You know, the time comes, the time to get up to receive communion. What this lady know that she's a witch, a luga, and she really walked up and got communion. Bro, sure enough, just like the pastor said, the thing got stuck in her throat, and she couldn't talk anymore. She literally became mute. So then her daughter comes with her, and her daughter says to the pastor, like, "Can you please undo whatever it is that you did to my mother? She has been mute. She can't talk ever since she went up to get communion. She's not able to verbally communicate." The pastor just looked at her and said, "You knew what you were, and I gave you a fair warning."
There's an echo on my mic, or echo. Maybe it's because it can hear my headphones. I'm always working on my audio. I have my headphones in. turn my monitor down. Hold on, quick. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. My monitor may be too loud. Can y'all still hear it echo? All right, I'm gonna play the video again. Let me see if y'all hear it. Because this mic is picking up a lot of stuff. I'm gonna put on. Thanks for letting me know so I can get my tester. All right, I'm gonna play it again.
I told you that if you come up and receive communion, what was going to happen to
hear the
you,
echo?
and you didn't need my warning, what is done, and it cannot be undone. Now deceased. This woman spent the rest of her life mute.
Today's video is all about mermaids, sirens, and sea demons. This video has been requested a lot. It's on my Instagram. I do Q&As and requests on my stories often, and this was one of the most requested. And I'm going to get into it with you guys and tell you guys some of the stories that have come out of Haiti as well. I don't know how you guys will feel about this video, but I'm curious to read your comments below. But before we get into it, I want to ask you guys, comment below, do you believe that mermaids is a real thing? Where do you stand on it? Without me yet swaying your opinion. I will speak on other experiences, facts, the history of where it came from, and also the Bible. I'm so excited.
And also, I've heard stories about people who, if people who practice a lot of dark magic, you can get possessed by certain demons that will allow you to shapeshift. Like werewolves or Lucaroos or whatever they call them in New Orleans. There's a certain way or a ritual you have to do. When I was a kid, I don't know why I used to find books like this when I was a kid, but I used to read a lot of books. I still do, but I would find books that would tell you basically how to do a ritual to allow spirit to enter you. And I never did it, of course, because I'm like, I'm not doing that. But there are certain demons that you can inhabit you and basically transform your physical vessel into something else. So that's very possible. I've read books about people who were in Satanism and an occult who were very familiar with. They would use people who could shapeshift as guards. Like the movies, like we would see movies about, werewolves being enslaved and stuff. But yeah, they would use these people. So it's a very real thing. And just for people to be able to shapeshift into maybe a sea creature or maybe get stuck in that shape. And that's the whole thing, is like, even if you play with dark magic, it's the things that you could get stuck because, easy to get the demon, not so easy to get it out. You know what I mean? So yeah, you got to.
So excited to get into this video. But before we get into it first, hey friend, welcome to my channel, Green Illuminator Gems. This channel is dedicated to leveling up in all areas of your life. So let us learn together, read together, but most importantly, grow together. Now, without further ado, let's get into this video. There's this infatuation with mermaids I see, especially in the West. In American and European cultures, there's this strong fascination. But in African culture and Caribbean culture, specifically in Haiti too, in Haiti, everywhere you go, you'll see paintings and arts of mermaid, and people recount, their mermaid stories, and they even worship mermaid deities or sea demon deities. But in America, we have little Ariel, the little mermaid. We have the little mermaid infatuations, and everyone wants to be called a mermaid or a siren. Like, we label Marilyn Monroe as a siren, and usually when you call a woman a siren in America, that means that they are seductive and enticing, and men just fall at their feet. So there is this glamorization of the terms, with a lot of people not really knowing just how deep it goes. And depending on who you ask, like if there are some people that you ask in African cultures and also Caribbean culture, and I'm from Haiti, there's people that really see, like the sea demons and the mermaids and sirens and things as not really a negative thing. And I'm sure many will debate me in a comment, like, it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad deity to worship or whatever. That it's culture, it's this, it's that. But
Yeah, I think you got to take it with a grain of salt. These could be separate creatures altogether. That people worship as gods. I think there's a possibility that there are other humanoid creatures that are not, quite human, Of course, if you follow me and I've talked about the Nephilim and Anunnaki, there was a lot of mixing in inbreeding going on. Okay, so there's a possibility that there's still some remnant of that. Even some of the Orisha, Yamaya, and the Orisha, one of the Orishas, she's got, part, I painted pictures of her. She's, half fish. She got the fish fins, two fins. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff where there's African mythology that talks about creatures who are half kind of sea creatures, and there might be something to it. Maybe there. I mean, the ocean is a big place, so what we call aliens might actually be some other creatures that live under the ocean. And I've always kind of felt that there's something under the ocean that may have something to do with our history. Let's get back to it. My internet's going.
But I'll leave my opinion for the end of it. I do notice the infatuation with American culture or cultures that aren't, that never really dealt with these beings. For most, mermaids is a mythical creature, right? Through Greek mythology, there has always been all these mythical creatures that we've heard about have been here through generations, right? For instance, dragons. Have you seen a dragon today? No, but the Bible make reference to dragons a lot. The dragon is mentioned throughout the Bible so many times. And also Leviathan is also a sea creature that is mentioned.
And I believe in dragons. I think dragons are real, or were real. What we call dinosaurs easily can be defined. Dinosaur is a real recent new word. So I think what we call dinosaurs today is really what dragons were in the past. And I don't think it was that far back. I think they were quite recent. And they were probably very intelligent. And when I say intelligent, I'm thinking like how dolphins are very intelligent, and how most primates are very intelligent, where they're able to communicate on their own level and help people. That's what I'm talking about, dragons. But I think dragons are even highly more intelligent, where they're creatures, but they are able to understand what's going on. Just saying.
In the Bible a lot. Actually, in a couple verses, in Isaiah 27, verse 1, it says, "In the day the Lord with his hard and great and strong sword will punish Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, Leviathan, the twisting serpent, and he will slay the dragon that is in the sea." So the Lord also says there's a dragon under the sea, and that is biblical. That's everywhere, right? We all know that the sea is a crazy place. It is, I believe, and that's just my opinion based off my own research and things like that. You don't have to believe me that space is not out there. It's under the sea, traveling and stuff like that. There's a lot of people in Haiti that would do traveling under the sea. Spiritual traveling from whatever gifts their gods that they're serving gives them. And I believe that there is, and the Bible speaks about the dragon that is in the sea. Maybe we're not seeing the fire breathing dragon out and about because it's under the sea. And there's been sightings way in the past of fishermen that used to go deep sea fishing before the era of telephones and stuff like that, whether in Greek, Roman, Asian, throughout history, there's been different accounts of these creatures. And these people did not used to spread information like that, but the drawings, the art were all very similar.
And take notice, I know the Pacific Ocean is huge. And I think there's a lot more in that part of the ocean than there is in the Atlantic. Most of our travel is through the Atlantic Ocean, when we have cruises, boats, whatever. But man, think about how many ships that go through the Pacific Ocean that have been lost, that have never come back. That's a huge ocean. There's a lot of stuff in that. I mean, I respect the ocean. I was always taught by my parents to respect the ocean, but that baby is no joke. What do you say? The Loch Ness? The Loch Ness though. That's more Celtic stories, like closer in the north near Ireland. They have a lot of stories, but that seems to be a smaller creature. I think it's real. I think it's a real some type of sea serpent underneath their waters, but it seems to be very small. And I think there's stuff in the Caribbean. I've taken a few cruises and I've seen some things that I was like, well, this can't be real, because it was like a huge something that was doing this, and I was like, that looks like a snake, but it was really far away and it was at night. And I've one of my friends told me it was something like maybe a jellyfish, but I don't know. It was pretty big. It was pretty big. He said the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, maybe those people were eaten instead of disappearing. So very possible that the ocean holds a lot of sea creatures that we may not be aware of, that given the chance they would eat us, like, for real. Let me get back to the video.
Similar. So it's like there has to be some truth to these creatures
I love
if
her
these
hair.
people were
Her
not
hair
like
is
cross-referencing or
brilliant.
sharing information like that. But yet in their drawings, in their arts, they would come up
She's got this
looking the
Wonder
same.
Woman thing.
And then in Job 41, verse 1 to 34, but we're not going to read the whole 1 through 34. God was speaking to Job and responding to Job and says, can you draw out Leviathan with a fish hook, or press down his tongue with a cord? Can you put a rope in his nose or pierce his jaw with a hook? Will he make many pleas to you? Will he speak to you soft words? Will he make a covenant with you to take him for your servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you put him on a leash for your girls? Again, so many verses talking about it, where this is like a scary creature, where the Lord is like telling Job, can you do this? I can. This supposed creature that so many people were afraid of, that is untamable, the Lord saying, I can draw him out by his nose and fish hook. Basically, you can't turn Leviathan into a pet for your girls, for your children, So it goes to reference that maybe under the sea, it's not even maybe, there might be, is this a parable? Is this example the Lord is using, or is this a real living creature? And the Lord referenced, the beast, the mark of the beast, the dragon that we say a lot. So this is supposed to be this scary creature that's under the sea. And also in the 10 Commandments, the Lord said, do not worship anything that is above or below the ground and the sea. And we know that in many cultures, there's a lot of worship of sea creatures. It doesn't necessarily mean the dragon or the mermaids or whatever, but it could be that people back then used to just worship cows. They worship, creation instead of the creator. They worship Poseidon, and they have different gods for different parts of creation. The god of the sea, the god of the air, the god of the sun, the god of the trees, the god of fertility, the god of this. And God is the God of all. And the monotheistic belief, and y'all know that's where I'm coming from unapologetically. So I must say that with respect to all beliefs and what you believe. But God is the God of everything. But in different cultures, especially in the past, but it's common today just in different ways, they worship different deities for different things. And the Lord is God of all, the creator, right? Who created everything. And Leviathan under the sea seems to be that creature that is brought up a lot in the Bible. And so with that being said, there obviously are creatures, but who are exactly these creatures? Did God create these creatures? Why are they so scary? Why are they under the water? What are sea demons? How does all this make sense, Kareen? Get back. So I'm gonna read a little excerpt from the Lore Library, where it says, however, they apparently don't only inhabit the oceans, they inhabit other bodies of water as well, such as lakes and rivers. Mermaids are also known as marine spirits. Mermaids have been documented for thousands of years. There is even an ancient Egyptian painting that illustrates a war that happened between humans and mermaids. And again, it wasn't just Egypt, it was everywhere. They had their own art of mermaids, and they all were depicted the same way. These creatures are described as having a frightening appearance and also possessing supernatural abilities, particularly hypnotism with their voices and telepathy, which is the ability to communicate mentally without speaking. Most of the time, they are described as having all black eyes, razor sharp teeth, gills in their faces, and webbed fingers. These creatures spark the folklore surrounding the swamp monsters, right? Mermaids, also called sirens, were once humans, according to the book of Enoch, daughters of mankind who married the fallen angels and produced a race of giants. God punished the daughters daughters of mankind along with the fallen angels as a punishment. And God made those daughters a siren, what we call today as mermaids. Mermaids were commanded to live in water. They're evil creatures who entice male humans with their extreme beautifulness and charmness and then trap humans and eat them afterwards. Throughout the history, many people were attacked and quote unquote killed by mermaids. You can check different stories on the internet if you want. The real mermaids are nothing compared to what today's society has portrayed it. They're not friendly, but in reality, they're scary and demonic. Now, what do I have to say about this? Me personally, I do not believe in the book of Enoch as something that is factually should be part of the Bible, but that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother day. In regards to
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. I have the book of Enoch. I also have an Ethiopian Bible, which has 88 books. Haven't read all the books, but I do take, what Enoch has said into consideration. It has, my beliefs are always constantly evolving, of course. So I don't want to throw the baby Jesus out with the bathwater. If I'm like, oh, okay, I don't believe that because I'm this, Of course, as you know, I'm the spiritual nomad, so I'm just gonna like try to figure it out. I mean, you ain't growing if you ain't learning, right? So learning about different mythologies and trying to figure out like how does that play into our who we are now and where we are today, and like is this real? And I know like Hollywood likes to glamorize a lot of these things, like they glamorize vampires. I don't want to meet a vampire. Those are like basically people or things, creatures that drink human blood, but Hollywood glamorizes that. And Hollywood glamorizes mermaids. And mermaids got to eat something. And if they are sirens and they're trying to bring people into the water, obviously they might be eating people or killing them. And I've seen like there was this one video that I saw, and this guy he was a fisherman. He was a young guy, and he had his own little TikTok. Since we're speaking about TikTok, because I was like, I was on TikTok. I'm trying to get on this TikTok stuff with these kids, and there's a lot of young people. So sometimes it's like, oh, it's too much. But I get a lot of information on TikTok as well from people my age, talking shorter videos, but it's still good. And then it kind of leads me to their YouTube. But either way, I saw this kid. He was on Fisherman, and he was actually hearing noises out there in the dark ocean. If you've ever been out on the ocean at night, it's just pitch black. You can't see anything. And he heard a voice. It sounds like a human voice, and it possibly could be an animal or a creature that's trying to sound human. But if it's one of these sirens, it there could be a chance. I mean, there's people who've heard stuff out in the woods, that sound human, and we can go there later. I'll find one of those videos and share those with you guys. But the stuff that they hear out there in the videos and stuff in the woods and in the ocean is pretty scary. This world is way bigger than what we know. And you're saying I'm always conflicted about my faith in practicing hoodoo and astrology and tarot. Yeah, I mean. I'm always getting comments, like, oh, come to Jesus, don't do that, and I don't do anything out of fear. And I'm a very spiritual person, of course. And when I'm doing my practices, I connect with the Creator God. I'm not calling on the demons or whatever. And if my prayer to my Creator God is doesn't have any power over demons, then what are we doing here, right? It's like, okay. Then I have my guardian angels that I pray to as well. So I try to, at least put my protections up and whatever. Now I know there are some people who actually call on spirits and demons. I don't know who those spirits are, and invoking them, I'm sure can help for a time, but also can hinder. So I've heard different arguments of whether to work with spirits or not. I kind of favor on not, because I just don't know who they are. I don't know. They've been here as spirits probably a long time. And, I mean, we can read about them. But ultimately, I think you need to be on a very high level of spirituality to even go that route. Of course, King Solomon, he was controlling demons. He built his whole temple from demons. King Solomon. I wrote a book about it, my fiction books, and I'm going to get back into that too. I just haven't been motivated, but I'm going to get in it. Most of my stories are fiction, but I take stuff that I know and I try to put it into a story form. But yeah, King Solomon used demons, and all demons means are spirits, and spirits have different personalities. They can be malevolent or benevolent or just neutral. They don't care. So I think when we hear the word demon, we get like, oh, but demon is actually just a word that comes from daemon, which means spirit. So just anything that's a spirit. So it's a very neutral word, but we've demonized the word demon, but it's actually it's a very neutral word. But I think they do that because if everyone is just practicing that type of thing and everyone's doing magic, you can't trust the entire society to do magic or work in the spiritual world because everyone's going to start doing crazy stuff. And I think that's basically the reason why the occult happened, which occult means hidden, where you start separating people from certain things and scaring them and keeping them away from doing things, because you have everybody, when you have everybody doing it, then you have everybody realizes their potential to create curses. And I think because human nature is pretty flawed and weak, most people will, just from doing tarot readings, most people are asking about money and what does somebody think about me? It's like there's so many things you can do with tarot, but worrying about money and what does that person think about me are some of the most basic things you can do. And just to think, if you gave everyone access to be conscious of how they can create spells, most of them would be, yeah, you would do exactly right. Hexes and love spells. And it's just so ridiculous because with love spells is like alcohol. You're just basically, influencing somebody on a spiritual level. But if they don't truly feel that, if they don't truly love you, they're just going, when that spell is over, because spells do have a limit, they're just going to leave you. So you have somebody who's obsessed with you, like they're on drugs and they don't know why. And when that wears off, they're just going to go back to normal. So it's not real love. It's not real love at all. So the best thing you can do is use your manifestation power to make yourself better and to put yourself on the right track so that you can find love. And I try to guide people that way, but some people are just, like I said, I just want money. And I've said it in several videos. Don't pray for money. Don't pray, because it's just silly. Like, focus and manifest the things that you want versus the money to get what you want. Because I've gotten a lot of stuff for free because someone was just thinking about me. Didn't have to pay a dime. And because I try to manifest the things that I want versus the money to get it. Y'all be manifesting yourselves into poverty and more taxes.
Too, because I know a lot of Christians says that angels cannot procreate, but I found an argument online that kind of in research for this with what the book of Enoch says and some of the things is in terms of the Nephilim conversation. I found something interesting that said that question was, if angels can't reproduce, as Jesus said in the Bible, then who are the sons of God that took the daughters of men, married them, and created children known as Nephilim, and then these women that became sirens, right? Jesus said in Matthew 22 verse 29 to 30, 30, Jesus answered and said to them, "You are mistaken, not knowing the scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels of God in heaven." So in the resurrection, which is the second coming, angels do not have females. According to the Bible, they're only males. Who will they marry in heaven if there's no women for them to marry, right? So that's why in heaven, they do not marry. So it's obvious that they're not able to marry, and God does not permit, men and men to marry or even
Everyone goes to
recreate.
heaven. Everyone gets
So that was the
dick.
first problem with that. And angels were created completely on one creation day before day 3, as Job tells us, and fully formed, right? They did not reproduce over time and increase in number by marrying other female angels and having little angel babies. Okay, they were just already there, created by God. Renaissance arts that you see all in the Vatican and all of those things, no, God just created angels.
Yeah, well,
We as
females
humans have the ability
are
to
very
procreate.
special.
Okay, that's it. Secondly, Jude tells us without telling us directly that the angels were disabled or prevented by God from producing offspring after they were caught producing babies with female humans before the flood, which is amalgamation. Many biblical scholars have spoken about this. Biblically, it talks about there were these giants on the face of the earth. You think of David and Goliath, David in front of Goliath. There was a lot of giants, and even the Israelites, when they went to go look at Canaan, they came back and gave report, and it was like, we're like grasshoppers in front of these men in these cities that the Lord wants us to conquer. We're like grasshoppers, meaning they were small in comparison to these men. So there was a time there were men that walked the face of the earth that were huge compared to what the average men or even the people of God should look like. The Philistines were known to be huge men, and they were also perverted men.
In the book of Genesis, it says that the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They created a hybrid offspring who were called the Nephilim, or the fallen ones. Some believe they were between 8 and 15 feet tall. This is also handed down in Sumerian language.
And this goes back to my studies on Tartaria, where we've have all these ancient structures, all these ancient buildings, and they have these huge doors. Like, who are these doors for? Like, why? It's so, I truly believe, like, society, we had a whole cities that were built for Nephilim, for people who were half breeds of angel blood and human blood. Now, angels being able to breed, I think they were able to breed with us because we're genetically compatible with them. If we look back over the Anunnaki stories, the Anunnaki themselves, which were the higher gods, they could breed. But the angels themselves, like the lower ones, I don't know if they call them the Grigori. I'm not quite sure about that. So the Anunnaki were able to breed on their own because they did definitely have sons and daughters. The Grigori, not so sure. So I think there was a level of creatures that were created that possibly, were all masculine. But I mean, but I also study angels, and some of the angels are feminine. There are feminine angels. Or have feminine energy, but just because you're feminine doesn't mean you're male. So we know that, right? Let's not get that mixed up. So yeah, the angels were, maybe they were just genetically not compatible with themselves, kind of like mules, horses, and donkeys. I think mules are the ones that can't procreate. So maybe they're just genetically, just God made them just kind of, what is it? What's the word? Just can't procreate with each other. But if they procreate with something that's genetically compatible, human beings, because we were given the ability to procreate, they can actually, they needed a vessel, females, which is why females are so spiritually on a level, because they are this conduit for just many different types of creatures. They can actually bring in be a portal. So that they were the portal for the Nephilim is a very powerful thing. So there must be something genetically like very powerful and spiritually with females, period. And we can see that a lot of females are very spiritually in tune, and then when they're not, they're off. They are way off. But yeah, and we all have it, of course, but their ability, even though it's downplayed a lot, their ability to bring life into this world is actually a very valuable thing, a very valuable thing, even though, it's kind of downplayed on or seen as a negative thing, but it's actually very powerful because trust me, if there's a creature or an alien, alien abduction, they're looking for women. They ain't looking for men.
Languages that some of the gods had sex with humans and the offsprings were giants. Mythology is full of giants.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6. This section of the Hebrew Bible contains a curious passage.
When we look at the modern evolutionary cycle for human beings, it's still put on the shoulders of Darwinistic views. So anything that steps outside of those viewpoints is usually greatly challenged.
In mythology, the giants were a fact. They did exist. What we are missing are the bones of giants. From time to time, anthropologists found some big bones, but then other anthropologists contradicted it.
I'll be right back.
Mainstream science has had a very hard time wrapping their head around the idea that there could have been a lost race, part extraterrestrial, part human.
So why don't we all know about it? How come it's not in history books? Well, the policy of denial of the discovery of gigantic human skeletons actually wasn't enacted until about 1920. Before that time period, the Smithsonian acknowledged these giants in their own reports. For years, I've been hearing stories, Native American legends about giants. It appears that we unearthed evidence, proof of their existence here in West Virginia. But for whatever reason, that proof was suppressed. Probably has to do with the fact that it doesn't fit with our model of human evolution.
We have to ask ourselves who these 7-8 foot giants were. Were they somehow the vestiges of these giants of the Bible? It's a mystery that archaeologists have yet to solve. The Nephilim. These giant skeletons seem to be evidence of the Watchers and the Nephilim. You have these biblical stories of the Watchers and the sons of God coming to Earth, breeding with humans to create this new race of giants. And part of the answer may be extraterrestrial DNA that's part of these giants.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Expedition Bible. I'm Joel Kramer. Today I want to cover a very interesting subject. The Bible talks about giants and the descendants of giants having lived in the biblical land in ancient times. And so is there anything that's been found in the archaeological record that provides evidence for these historical giants? In this video, we're going to look at a discovery that was made in Israel of a horde of giant metal weapons. This huge spearhead that is 66 centimeters long was found right here where I'm standing. Is on display. More spearheads from the Bronze Age. These are typical spearheads. That's maybe 6 inches long, 7, 8 inches long at the most. And so this already is considered a huge spearhead. 2 more spearheads that are within a half inch of each other were also found, and you can see the difference in size. However, the largest spearhead that was found in the Monash Horde is this one. Now, again, I just took the length of it from the drawing, 66 centimeters, that's 26 inches, and you just see how massive this spearhead is. We have a parallel of these spearheads in the biblical text. If we go to 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16, we're introduced to this warrior, and we're given his name. His name is Ishbi-Benob, and then he's described specifically as one of the descendants of the giants, whose spear weighed 300 shekels of bronze. Isn't that interesting? We're not given his size and his weight, but we're given the weight of his spear, and it's talking about his entire spear. Now, if we take this, the largest of the spearheads at Monash, this spearhead alone, just the head, is 5 pounds. But when it says 7 pounds in the Bible, it's talking.
I'm gonna pause that right there. I'm surprised how humanity has been able to survive. I truly believe giants existed, that ancient man had to battle them. Even like we have, David and Goliath, but Jack and the Beanstalk. We have stories about Jack going up to see the giant and stealing stuff from giants. We've got plenty of stories of giants, feed, five, fo, fum, and all that stuff. And what would they? I smell the blood of an Englishman. Like, giants were like literally eating people. They were cannibals, and there's stories in the book of Enoch about them being cannibals, and they like to eat people. And I saw I saw a horror movie about that. No, there was seriously, like, where this kid was growing so fast. You know, his mother gave birth to him, and like in like a month, he had just grown into a teenager. He couldn't stop eating, and eventually he ate his mother. But anyway, that's the stuff I find on YouTube. But but is this all fiction? No, this is coming from a place of hearsay, basically. And this is how we create stories, because I heard something happen, and it's so scary that someone actually creates a movie about it or a story about it. But in giants, somehow we manage to survive, and maybe they're not as smart. Maybe that's their failing flaw. They're huge, but maybe they're not as smart as us. They're strong. Yeah, he ate his mom. I'm sorry, that was a spoiler. If you find the movie, I think it's on one of those alter horror channels. It's a horror movie, short films of horror, and it's called Alter, Alter, and they just have, most of them look like college films. I'm going on a tangent, but most of them look like college films, which is cool. I like to support young people trying to create art. But some of them are good.
But also the entire spear. So you got to put the shaft on this. Imagine how big that shaft, that pole must have been on a spear this big. It would have been much taller than a man. It would have weighed at least 2 pounds. It would have weighed probably much more than that. This is probably a bigger spear, a heavier spear than the one that's described in 2 Samuel 21:16. Is the authors write this: the spearheads bear signs of use, especially the heaviest, which is bent in one spot and worn in several places along the edges. Okay, so they're saying that these spears bear the evidence that they were used as spears.
Yeah, they hit something.
Despite them writing this, a little later in the article, they say, they write this: spears were used in war and fighting. In the case of the Monash spears, however, their unusual size and weight would appear to be an obstacle rather than an aid to anyone carrying them. We would like to suggest that these heavy spears may have been used in yet another way. And so they go on to suggest that these were decorative in nature. They were used as decorations. Now, why? Because they're too big to have been used by a normal size warrior. Okay, now you have to keep in mind that most scholars are secular, including the authors of this article. They don't believe in giants. They don't believe that giants existed and that they're historical. And therefore, they have to give another explanation for why these massive spearheads were found. And so they must be decorative. Keep in mind that earlier they had said, and especially the biggest one, had evidence for being used as a spearhead. This interpretation has to do with worldview. If you don't believe in, if you believe giants are fairy tale beings, then you're not going to interpret this as evidence of giants because you don't believe in them. However, for those of us who do believe in the Bible and its historicity, then we know that giants existed in the ancient past. And when we find giant weapons, then using the Bible, we would interpret them, certainly I would, to be evidence for what the Bible is describing in these descendants of giants. Now, also in the article that's very interesting is this. The authors wrote, a remarkable feature of the Monash horde were the small
Nephilim. I'm just going to pause right there, because it validates that there's something to the Bible, but also a lot of Christians don't believe in the idea of Enoch and Nephilim being descendants from the angels, because then it takes angels out of the spirit realm and makes them physical beings. So it's like, and that's where I try to find the balance. It's like, okay, that these gods that we speak of are actually beings, and there is a creator God, there's a creator source and a power, but whatever created them is what they are, is not the creator, so even Yahweh then is also a creation. And that goes back into like some Gnostic belief of the demiurge, and where some people have said that the God of this world thinks it's the ultimate God when it's truly not. And so this is where we are, where there's an ultimate creator God, and then there's the God of this world that believes it's God and has kind of created this chaos or this little matrix for us to be in. and creates this havoc to keep people in this kind of fearful state of worshiping it. And as well, can't really control everything because it's not omniscient, even though it tries to portray itself as omniscient. But when we start realizing that there's a lot of old ancient beings here, and if I lived, let's say I live, 5 million years, but I look the same. I'm just looking like me, but I live 5 million years. I'm going to be pretty smart. I'm going to know how to manipulate people because people basically don't change. There's patterns. I've only lived 46 years, and I've realized that people are pretty basically the same. And if I wanted to, I could manipulate people, but I don't because it takes too much energy, But if I was like, okay, I've been here 1,000 years, let me just try to play the game, you could. So that's what I kind of sense, like the God beings or the angels, they live a long time. And sure, there are some demons that are actually spirits, and that's why they need bodies, because they're trapped here. He said 46 where? Thank you. Yeah. And black don't crack, right? A lot of my generation seems to be like that too. A lot of us looking young. I don't know why. Well, I guess Gen X, right? Age forgot about us. But yeah, I think most of these gods and the fallen angels and stuff, they're beings that live a long time. Kind of like turtles. You know how turtles live a long time? Aren't they reptiles? Anyways, let me get back to the video. I digress. My internet's going slow. Why is it grinding like that?
Small, thin, ridged copper plates, of which about 800 were found. We suggest that these plates are scales of armor. This also has a parallel in the Bible. If we just flip back from 2 Samuel to 1 Samuel chapter 17, then we have the account of Goliath, the most famous of all the biblical giants. In verse 4 of 1 Samuel 17, we are introduced to Goliath of Gath. In verse 5, it says that Goliath of Gath was armed with a coat of mail, and that the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of bronze. This is about 125 pounds. So we have archaeologically found at Monash this pile of 800 scales of body armor, and then we have body armor of a giant described in the biblical text. Now, very interestingly, the authors go on in the article to say this: the only parallel for the Monash scales was found at Tel Gath, where identical copper scales, also forming a package, were uncovered in the area of the city wall. Isn't that amazing? The only other place that body armor, like the body armor found at Monash, has been found is Tel Gath, the hometown of Goliath, who is the giant in the Bible, whose body armor is described for us, and we're given its weight. The interpretation of the authors of the article are very similar with the body armor as with the spearheads. They say this: they say the great number of scales found would point to several coats of mail being hidden in the Monash hoard. What they're saying is it looks like this is one coat of armor, but it's way too many scales to be just one coat of armor. Therefore, there must be several different coats hidden within this pile of 800 scales. Now, that's one interpretation if you don't believe in giants. However, if you do believe in historical giants, because they're described in the Bible, then this could be the coat of armor for a single individual who, of course, would be a giant or a descendant of the giants. So in conclusion, here are the facts. We have archaeological discovery at Monash of these massive metal spearheads and body armor. We have a parallel of the huge spearhead found also at Megiddo. We also have a parallel of the body armor found at Monash, found at Tel.
Because healing factor. Like if you you cut off the head of Medusa, you cut off the head of Goliath. It's kind of this thing where if you didn't do it, like you even hear stories about vampires and you need to cut off the head of the vampire. You put a stake in their heart, but you chop their head off too. Because they have a healing factor. Like even if you killed them, they could heal themselves pretty fast and then get over it. And they're like, yeah. So there we go. Another mythos that's become like a superhero story of Nephilim blood, or those who are Nephilim. You know, I think we all have a degree of it, but since we're talking about not aging, I am not a Nephilim, y'all, but I'm just saying, like I think we all have degrees of it, because I've said this before in another video talking about how Noah, we might be vampires. I think some people are vampires. No doubt. There are some blood drinkers out there, and they live off of that. But as we get later as we start getting further into time, people are becoming more open. Just listen to what people are saying, and they are really exposing themselves. They're telling you who they are. Just believe them when they say who they are. A lot of celebrities have talked about, drinking blood. I'm not going to say who, or using blood for different things. I'm not going to say who, and I'm not going to say what, because the last time I tried to make videos on this is when I get shadow banned and y'all don't hear from me forever, because I look at my videos and I'm like, well, YouTube done hit me with a strike. So, I try, but yeah, I'm trying to be a good boy, because YouTube is like, you need to take a re-education class. I'm like, what is this? What in the 1984 is going on? Just to post a video, I got to take a re-education course, like literally, like I had to. Anyways.
Tell Gath, we have a match. That's why I interpret this as evidence for biblical giants, because what's been found in the ground is comparable to what's described in the Bible as the weapons of these descendants of giants. Of course, a secular archaeologist, a secular interpretation is going to not consider this evidence for giants. And so in their case, they interpret it as there must be several coats of armor amongst these 800 scales, and these giant spearheads must be decorative. You can make up your own.
I had a strike on TikTok because I was talking about the starts with Adreno, ends with Chrome, and and about these pills that they make out of. They were making pills out of baby's blood, and I had a news article. I didn't even say anything about it. I posted the news article that was posted from AP News. I just reposted it on TikTok, talking about that they had found these pills that supposedly were manufactured in China that were getting shipped to the United States. And I got a block on that. They flagged my video. And there's like, it was on AP News, but they were trying to keep that story under wraps because it showed, one, there is a black market, there's a dark market for this type of ingesting of blood in a very marketable way. Like, oh, I want to drink blood, but I don't want to like kill people. I mean, I don't know, but there's some type of black dark market for this stuff. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. Don't want to go there. That's crazy. Hey, Dreamer in DC. But yeah, there's a dark market for all types of dark rituals. And I'm sure the celebrities are all on it. That's why I don't trust what celebrities say. I really don't, because they got millions of dollars, and it's not something like, oh, like anybody can just go and buy it. Like, no, you gotta have some inside track. Yeah, I know they own TikTok. So when China runs TikTok, and America runs Facebook, so there's going to be censorship. If you get censored, you said the right thing, basically. So that's how I see it. Like, if you get censored saying something, you made somebody upset. They don't want you talking about it. So I kind of stick to Twitter X and see what they see. Usually you get lost in the you get lost in the crowd trying to post something on Twitter X, because there's so many people yelling. It's like trying to talk in a mall. Y'all remember malls? I remember malls. There right, I want to look for another video because my attention span is like this guy's talking about the Bible all day. I'm going to cut this off. Stop sharing this screen. He's not telling me anything I don't already know. What are we talking about? Mermaids and demons? Let me try to find another video. Because I like that type of thing. Let's see what else I can find. What is the algorithm giving me now? Well, let me get my screen to go. Man, I used to hang out at the mall all the time as a kid. Me and my friends used to practice our game on girls. It was so stupid. Like, hey, girl, what's up? Oh, yeah, I want to watch this video. So, whoop. Let me cue it up real quick. So, I like videos about Tartaria. And let me first of all. But man, I used to work at the mall too. I used to work at the Gap. I used to work at a theater shop. And we used to have a good time. My favorite place was the music store. And I used to go, what was the name of that music store? Was it Virgin Music? I can't remember. But I used to like to listen to, they would let you go into the music store and you could listen to free samples of any song. And if you liked it, you could buy the single or you could buy the album. So I would spend so much time at the music store. I love music. I mean, I ended up working at a radio station, which is why my voice is so stellar. Sam Goody. Yes. And Tower Rec, you are so right. Yep. And I used to buy tapes and CDs when like I would listen. You would go into the store and you put the headphones on and you listen to like maybe a 10 second sample. Say that 3 times fast. And man, if I got chills, I bought the album. If I got chills, I bought the single. So, and singles, you can do like 99 cents and get the tape or the CD and then just have 1 or 2 songs on it. In a remix, they have a remix on there. You get the single, the remix of it and everything. And like, and I did that a few times. I used to have a whole box of cassette tapes and CDs. Oh, Lord, it was crazy. Now, what do we got? Just buy the MP3. If that, usually I just have a streaming service. Musics and bookstores. Yes. And books too. Yeah. I used to hang out at the bookstore too. Not in the bad way, not in the gay way, but I never hooked up at a bookstore, but but I would go to the bookstore and like get my favorite books, you know. But YouTube music is now pretty much everything I do now. I just basically find a song that I like, or I hear about an artist who released a song, Childish Gambino, listen to his whole album, you know, and I just like the video or like the songs that I want to hear again and put it on my favorite, and I can hear it over and over. If I really want to support them, I'll just purchase it. But I got a subscription. Why? He said, my friend and I were too young, so we just read the magazines. I remember, well, you know, porn was still around. Like, you know, nudie magazines, people would just be all over the place. Like, I remember the first porn I saw my cousin showed me on a video VHS tape. He was like, hey, come look at this. And then I found some more magazines, like someone was throwing them away, but they didn't throw them away. You know how people throw stuff away, but they don't throw it away. They just put it by the trash. And it was like a paper bag with magazines in it. So, you know, my curious self went and looked. So that was my first exposure to porn. And I was like, oh, this is a lot of penises and titties. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It was so crazy. Being a kid back then. You said like was guess who came? Oh my goodness, really? Oh. The one I saw was horrible. I think it was a family affair. You can guess what that's about. I don't know why my cousin was watching that. Oh, but yeah, it was like a 1970s or maybe early 80s porn because everyone had pubic hair. You know, porn these days, these kids don't be having pubic hair, they keep it nice and trimmed. Nah, these people had full bush. They had full bush. It was called Family Affair, and it was a stepbrother and stepsister doing what porn people do. Oh my gosh, I'll never forget that one. That was the first one I saw, and I was like, and my whole thought, I was like 12 years old. My whole idea here in my head is like, what if their parents find out? This is horrible. I'm thinking about the emotional backlash of their family. I was 12. I was like, what if their parents find out? This is horrible. Why is his penis so huge? Because it was huge. Oh my gosh. I was like, I was asking too many questions. I was asking way too many questions. This is why you don't let kids watch porn. Like, seriously. Let me find my screen here. So, next video. You gotta stop. I'm not getting you a post. I was asking way too many questions. My cousins were probably like, shut up, just watch it. Oh my goodness. Oh, those were the days. Let me see. All right. Old World Structures. This is my lunch breaks channel. I'm subscribed to him. I like this channel. This is talking about the old world. Remember, I was talking about, structures that are too big, large doors, ancient structures. Who built all this stuff when we had just horse and buggy, right? Horse and buggy, supposedly in the 1800s. But yet, here we are with all these buildings. So this is his channel. Check this out.
There are so many buildings in the USA that look so out of place. Structures that we can all go and see. Structures that we have shown are being burned down and destroyed over and over. These are the structures that we have proven on this channel that hold narratives, stories that are clearly written by either a group of people thinking that we are all too dumb to realize that the stories are made up, or they're written by an AI. When you simply look at one building's narrative, you would never notice anything. But when you put hundreds of them together, like we have done here, we all see the patterns, the repetition, the dates, and the rest, all of it. That's going to take the narrative and expose it to the world, showing that these buildings have a much deeper history, showing that the true narrative is that these buildings have all been here much longer than we've all been told, and built by a much more advanced group of people than the donkey riding cowboys of the 1800s. So let's get started. In Mansfield, Ohio, located on 60 South Mulberry Street, we have the St. Peter's Church, where we are told that the first Catholic Mass was celebrated in Mansfield in 1850. Shortly after, Mansfield's Catholic community purchased its first building, a church that was already there. A former Methodist church. And this is where things get very interesting and give it all away. Where the parish built its first church in 1870, where it, of course, burned down just 19 years later. And this is very important for anybody new here. We can see with our eyes which buildings look out of place. Buildings that don't belong in the USA, if you were going off the mainstream narrative, where people, including presidents, were being born in sheds with no bathrooms. Yet, at the same exact time, there are palaces being thrown together right across the street, no problem at all.
Like
over
Abraham,
and over
like
by architects that have no previous training, and there's never a mistake. And then we see nearly every single time this palace-like structure holds the fire narrative, which is a clear pattern, a nod. And we, of course, don't stop there. This is just the beginning of the investigation, because once we see the fire, then we can go deeper. And we see that they built another building right across the street, supposedly. No details on the construction of that one, of course. And then they outgrow it. And this is when the narrative gets exposed. When they tell us that the current structure, the one that's there today, had its cornerstone laid on May 14th, 1911. And due to the First World War, it had delays. And 113 years ago, it only took them 6 years to build this during a world war, which took place between 1914 and 1918, where 2.8 million men from the USA alone were drafted to go to Europe. And another 2 million men volunteered. With all of this going on, millions of men off fighting in a world war, this structure still gets done in just 6 years. Wow. These are the times when the narrative slips these buildings in, when there's a world war going on. And we have shown this, where major financial market crashes and wars are the perfect time to throw brand new narratives into existing buildings. We have shown this in New York City in episode 77, with no internet, and everybody's distracted with the major event.
Okay, so you'll see that he just referenced another video talking about the little season, and I've been talking about that just a little bit, and I'm going to show probably some more videos on that, because that's a rabbit hole I kind of wanted to go on by myself, but I'm going to take y'all there, because it's all talking about the Bible and religion, and possibly our idea of timing in Revelations is wrong, and that perhaps Jesus already came back, the millennial reign already happened, the rapture, whatever that is, already happened. And now we're in the little season where Satan is ruling the world, which makes sense because this world sucks. I mean, this is like hell on earth, like right now. Even though we have a lot of technology, most of it's used for war, killing, and controlling. And censorship is abroad. And really, if you are pro Satan or like doing anything kind of like, if you're a pop star or a celebrity and you're talking about Satanism or the devil or anything of like dark, you're kind of cheered. You're like, yay, yeah, great. But if you talk about anything about the light or Christianity or like anything that's positive, just we won't even go as far as Christianity. Anything that's positive. I remember like there was a time where, you know, pop music was bubblegum pop. It was just like, hey, you know, I got a crush on you. Now it's like, I want to have sex and like get in my foot. It's like, what? How did music just go so extremely, like, there's no other direction we can go. Like, especially when it comes to women in pop culture, they're all wearing bikinis. You can't go any further just to be naked. Like, that's the next step. Just make a video naked. I'm sure some of them have, because I don't watch pop music videos anymore. But it's really gotten, I mean, people are literally selling sex now. And that's really where you talk about the degradation of society, when people feel like the only way they can make money is prostitution, whether it's online. You know, I mean, there's like, don't slut shame. I mean, that to each his own, but it is a sign of society degradation, especially when men feel like the only way they can survive is by selling sex. A man in particular should not feel like he has to sell sex to survive. But we have plenty of young men who all they do is OnlyFans. They can't make any money any other way. But why? Why is that? Why have we gotten to this far into society that young men feel like the only way they can make ends meet or the most money is by, selling DNA? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I see him. I don't know if that's the route that I would go, but it is a sign of a degradation of society when they feel like that's their only option. If they want to do that on their own, that's fine. There are some people, yes, I feel like that are sexually just objective, or they get objectified because they're sexy. Hey, do what you can do because maybe they're dumb as rocks, but everyone thinks they're sexy. Great, get your coins. But when you got everybody trying to do it, some of these folks, I'm like, stick to your day job. Porn isn't for you. I'm just saying. Like, everybody shouldn't do it. And it's not something that, it's a very competitive thing because everybody likes sex. And I know a lot of people do make a lot of money at it, but if I did it, I probably would have to give refunds because people are like, okay, I'm bored. All right. Anyways, back to the video.
Event going on in the world at that point. Who is running to the library to go check these buildings' narratives? Who's doing that? The answer is nobody. Nobody is going to the library and checking these narratives. This is the perfect time to switch up the stories. And now it's time to take this even further when we see that the architect was supposedly William P. Ginther. His architectural career starts off all because he reportedly drew a comic Valentine for a girl, where Frank Weary, then Akron, Ohio's leading architect, just happened to be in the room. And he saw this comic Valentine. So he hires him based on this comic Valentine, if you can believe it. This is the story that we're given. This is the beginning of his story. So we already know this story is ridiculous. Why was this Frank just following him around? Just waiting for the perfect opportunity to see him drawing something and hiring someone based on a comic Valentine and then turning them into a master architect. This is a very standard practice back then. Yes, your Valentine comic is perfect, and I just happened to be behind you when you were drawing it.
The job was easy.
Now come with me. And I always love looking into these characters because they pin them as the guy who created so many other old world palaces all over the place, just like we see here. 45 churches in Ohio alone, 18 other churches in other states, 10 residences, 28 schools, 8 academies, and even 3 hospitals. And you can see that these were no comic sketches. Take a look at this building, including the Basilica of St. Andrew in Virginia, where it was thrown together in just 24 months, as the legend goes. He's also pinned to this one, the Immaculate Heart of Mary Church, located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let's see how long this one took to build. If they just would have told us like 8 to 10 years, then fine. I would have a hard time having any argument at all. But the problem is that they tell us the cornerstone was laid in July 1904 and completed in 1905. So the whole thing is just done. This is a massive flaw in the narrative. We have proved, in my opinion, of course, in episode 41, that this timeline would have been impossible. Nobody is constructing anything like this in a year from 1904 to 1905, especially when we were told that William P. Ginther, the supposed architect, was off building 109 other structures around the USA. 1 year, 120 years ago. Are you sure? So 1904 and 1905, William P. Ginther should have been overseeing his comic masterpiece, getting the thing done in like a year, perfectly. Well, instead of being in Pittsburgh, he was back in Ohio, building this church this same exact year. Now, I'm not saying that this guy wasn't real. I'm simply
Sure.
suggesting that he was used as a pawn and placed into these narratives, used as the
Yeah, they
front
got
guy
statues
to
on the
explain
building.
away 109 structures in the USA that did not resemble the construction at the time. You know, the classic wooden shed style. I'm going to take this a step further and try to blow your mind. We were told that Ginther was pinned as the guy that got the St. Columbia Church done, where we were told that it was destroyed by a fire in 1954. So I found it. And just take a look at this place. And it's no wonder it was destroyed. This did not belong in Youngstown, Ohio. It did not fit into the narrative at all. And you can see that the skies are all blanked out. These pictures, clearly edited. You can't even see the top of the structure here. And check this one out. Look at the pole. It's so over the top and 100% doesn't fit in with what we are all told about the past. Here's a photo of inside the place. It's just incredible. I know we have located the fire narrative now, and we are all witnessing them happening live today. But I always think, what have we missed over the years? Could you even imagine growing up in 1890? Every single building on the block must have been insane. In my opinion,
Like, I have stories from 1890 from my family. Most of those folks were country in Texas. In 1890, my family were just living in like little houses and stuff. And, you know, country folks hunting outside. Like, how were people building these stone structures and statues? Like, during that time, there was something else going on, and the rest of us were on the outskirts. Like, we're not a part of it. There was some major movement going on. There's a hidden history going on. And maybe some people, maybe the old folks did know something, but they didn't talk about it. But as far as my family is concerned, just living out in the country, in the outskirts of everything. Never heard about any, you know, major cities or major structures or anything like that. But there was obviously something. But by 1890, whoever built it was already gone. This people in our timeline were already trying to take over these structures. That's what I think was going on in 1880, 1890. People in our timeline were taking over these structures and saying, okay, yeah, we built this. And they were lying. While you know, normal common folk were living out in the country and outskirts and just trying to take care of themselves. And then, what's that noise? In the 1900s, they started trying to bring people into city centers and industrialize everybody in the 1900s. And that's the rest is history. So people started moving out of their small towns into city centers.
my opinion, nobody from our civilization built this. I believe there was a massive civilization here where we all live today that were not riding around on donkeys and carriages. I believe they were wiped out by a mass event and everything was reset back to the horse and wagon era. And this is why all of these buildings are so out of place and need to be demolished so that the narrative that we're all told makes total sense. And now I'm going to show you the comparison to what was given to us by the comic guy and what we are given today. I think this comparison right here is just shocking. To me, it's undeniable proof that we are not moving forward. We are not advancing. This is clear proof, in my opinion, that there was a group here that fully understood how to construct palaces all over the world. There is something massive missing from our textbooks. What we are told does not make sense at all. It's just incredible. I could look at the comparisons from the old world to our world all day long. It couldn't get any more obvious that the history that we are given is not the truth, at least in my eyes. So let's go even deeper. According to CatholicEcho.org, we are told that nearly 70 years ago, the cathedral was destroyed by fire during a late evening storm. Because storms just light any random stone building on fire.
Late evening storm.
No.
Really?
So we can see when we are all here to document what is going on.
And notice, like, in 2024, you don't have buildings like, oh, random building got destroyed by a storm, maybe a tornado, yeah, but not like, oh, it just caught on fire. Now, recently in Dallas, we did have one of these old buildings that looks like it could be like a building like those catch on fire in the middle of downtown Dallas. But I'm like, I was already suspect with that. I was like, that's one of the oldest buildings in Dallas, and it caught on fire. And it went up in flames, and it was like a stone building. So I'm like, y'all don't put some gas on that thing. I'm just saying.
What's going on? This takes 4 years to put a new one together. We have seen so many times that the 1800s would burn a building down, and 4 months later, the new one is there. No problem at all. So I'm so glad that they're showing us the truth in this article, that you have to account for the old building's demolition project, the one that was destroyed. It takes time to remove these ones and then put the new one in. On stcolumbacathedral.org, we get a backstory that gives even more away, where they tell us that this church that burned down was not even the original, if you can believe it. Where the first building was erected in 1853. A second church was built in 1868. And then a larger one in 1897. So who constructed these previous churches? How long did they take to build? Where did the materials come from? Which donkey led the way? We will never know, of course. So this one that is here today, they're all told, is the fourth church on this site. Again, another pattern in the narrative. And we're just getting started on William P. Ginther, the comic drawing master architect, when we have found another comparison of what he supposedly drew up and got done and what is there today. Welcome to episode 89 of My Lunch Break. I hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new, welcome.
A lot of these buildings take skill.
And I want to thank all of our sponsors over on Patreon. Thank you to FlatEarthDave.com. You can check out his app, the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac app. I'll put the link right in the description. And you can use my referral code, MLB. If you click the Tartaria button, you'll see the My Lunch Break playlist right here. The app is awesome.
Let's give him his shout outs right now.
It's for God, Forbidden Gecko Love, Justin Grobner Grub, Leah Coatsy, Miss Rex, pulled one down and built this one.
Which is really cool. Like, people donate to his channel and then he gets like the credits in the middle, which is really cool. When I get that way, I'll just like boop boop. Yeah, not there yet. But yeah, you guys get a chance. Definitely check out My Lunch Break. He has a wonderful channel about ancient architecture. He goes into the Tartaria thing a little bit, but he doesn't really talk about it. There are other channels who go really more in depth about the Tartaria mythology of perhaps there's a society. He alludes to it, but he doesn't really go deep into it, where other channels will talk about Tartaria being a thing. Some channels will say it for fact and try to prove that. And then once I started getting on that algorithm, I got into the post-millennial reign of Christ and the possibilities of that. And what does that mean? And it was a lot of stuff. It was like, okay, so if we live in that whole little season, which he alluded to, he didn't really talk about it, but he showed the video of the little season. Can you guys hear those crickets? Those aren't crickets. Those are cicadas. Is my mic picking that up? I got my patio open, so is when nighttime falls, the bugs start getting loud. Can you hear that? It is crazy. Them bugs, them summer bugs. But yeah, the little season talking about, you know, the season of Satan ruling the world and causing havoc, but which means we're at the very end of the Bible if that's all true. This little galactic war, this little cosmic war, or this metaphysical war between, like I said, these beings basically. Um, but we're related to them on a level, on some level. But man, it really sucks because it's really hard to know what the truth is and what the truth isn't, because everything's been manipulated, everything's been kind of controlled. Which is why I say, when you're saying something and then you get shadow banned, or you get like, oh, you get a strike, you're probably on the right track, because you know, ruffle the right feathers, at least on the upper higher end. And I've seen channels say worse than I have said, but I'm a little channel. So when I say something, they're like, oh, let's get them. You know, so it's just an interesting thing where how information is so controlled today, and we are the age of information. We're moving into the age of Aquarius, and so much stuff is happening. And I'll talk about more of the astrological stuff and the tarot stuff later. I didn't really want to make this video about that. You know, I just want to just kind of, I'm pretty chill today. I just wanted, to have a couple of drinks and watch some videos, but I just didn't want to be by myself. And I really didn't want to go to the bar because, like I said, everybody at the bar talks about just like a bunch of stuff that I don't want to talk about. I'll probably still go to the bar though. But, I just have to get myself ready for that. Because it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about those things, so I don't know. They should have like a bar where you can talk about like deep shit and conspiracy theories. That would be so cool. I would so go there. They should call it, they call it the rabbit hole. That sounds like a gay bar, but I should open it, and I'll call it the rabbit hole. It'll be a gay bar where all they do is play conspiracy theories on videos in the screens and get people talking about stuff. I would love it. I would love it. I don't know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would totally go. I would totally go. But it sounds nasty, but it would be kind of interesting. So if you're bored, you just watch the videos, but that would be cool. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to kind of like spend some time and get back on YouTube and try to YouTube is doing a lot of different things. The CEO died. The CEO of YouTube died. So some stuff is about to change here. I've done some tarot readings on YouTube, and I already saw some changes happening. It's not the top dog anymore. Google's changing. YouTube is going to change. TikTok is the number one right now. A lot of stuff is. I already foresees a lot of changes happening with YouTube. So, my gosh, look at that. My eyes tripping. Pollen. But yeah, it does. I agree with you. I totally agree with this statement right now. They're pretty good with trying to find new videos, but when you're trying to make videos and get to your audience, it gets really crazy. They have a lot of content, and then you say the right things, and that's what people like watch what they say. I feel like if you have to censor yourself that much, it's just ridiculous. It's like, okay, and I don't know how to censor myself. I really don't. Indigo Child, you got Gemini, so I know you like to say whatever you say, and I have a Sag rising, so I'm just like, here it is. I'm gonna tell you what I know. That's it. So it's like I got to think about how to censor myself for YouTube. This is difficult. So we'll see where YouTube goes. Yeah, yeah, a lot of them are because we're moving into how I kind of see it is that we are moving into this new um we're moving into this new phase of life. I call it, and I've called it the Great Divide, where we're moving into a new timeline, and you're going to see a lot of people who are not in flow with the timeline that you are resonating with. They will either stop being your friend, or they will, in your consciousness, they will die, and perhaps they move on to another timeline where you're dead. Does that make sense? Um, you have a stellium in Gemini. Oh, you really like speaking your mind then. But I'm and what we're doing in this world here is that we're seeing what is showing me is showing that I'm on the right track, because just keep doing what you're doing, keep believing what you're believing, and saying that you're going to be on the timeline that resonates with your best self. And yeah, you're going to see a lot of people fall away there. And I'm not going to say just death, but and just sometimes it's just people who stop being your friends or whatever. Um, because once you get on that vibe of I want to know the truth, I want positive energy, this, you're gonna have people who only are very basic, and they want to sit on that basic energy, and they want to kind of be in that little realm. You're not gonna see them anymore. They're just gonna be in a whole nother timeline, and they're just gonna take whatever the news tells them and be like, okay, that's the truth because I heard it on the news. Like, really, you think the news is going to tell you the truth? If people think the news tells them the truth, I don't have anything. I don't even argue with them. I don't even argue with them. It's like, okay, have you not seen the propaganda? Like, there's everything's literally propaganda. Like, okay, you have to search for the truth. Like, you really have to. The rabbit hole. I'm gonna have to create like a virtual club. We have like a virtual club called the rabbit hole or something. But no, I would love it to be a physical club, because like I want to go to a place where I could party and hang out in public and not have to talk about basic shit. Like we could just talk about like real shit, like a speakeasy or something. Like they have a bar here in Dallas now that's for gamers, and like it's pretty chill, and that's cool. And I like that. And I was like, oh, cool. I'm not a gamer though. I like to play video games, but I'm not a gamer. So just have that kind of chill place. And I was like, I would love like to have a lounge or something where we can just talk about deep shit. Like deep shit. I would like, that would be so cool. Anyways, it's neither here nor there, but it could happen. It's possible. I don't know if the universe is going to use me as a conduit for that. I don't know if I'm ready to own a physical business or a bar, but hey, if it happens, it happens. I'll let you guys know. I'll be like, hey, guess what? I opened a bar. I'm that kind of guy. I'm a Sag rising though, so I'm opposite of you. So sometimes things just happen. They just happen, and I'm like, okay, how did I get here? Members only. I love that. Oh, that would be so awesome. That would be so awesome. Like a members only kind of club. Like, all right, you gotta like put an application in. Like, yeah. But yeah, that's kind of like how my life happens. It just kind of happens, and like, oh wow, that worked out. You know how you try stuff, you're like, well, I'll try it, and then it actually works out, and you're like, oh well, here I am. Yeah, that's been most of my life of doing things. Moving to LA, I moved to LA on a chance, and it kind of worked out, kind of didn't. I've got a lot of jobs that way. You have Sag South Node. Oh, you need to get away from that then. Well, you're a Gemini, so if you have a Sagittarius South Node and you're a Gemini now, you're on the right path. Just keep building community and keep being yourself. The universe is actually pushing you toward building a community. So, yeah, Aquarius rising, Libra moon, Gemini sun. You are the communicator. Lord, all that air energy. Lord have mercy. You definitely need a fire sign in your life. Get you a fire sign. But yeah, Gemini sun, Libra moon, Aquarius rising, and then you got the South sun, South node. Excuse me, Sagittarius. I know. Yeah, your life path is mostly building community and being the voice of the people. I'm kind of feeling being the voice of the people, building a community, building your world, and being the voice of the people. But not Sagittarius is more a solo sign where kind of Sagittarius kind of do things on their own. Yeah. Yeah, fire sign energy too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean the only fire I have is Sagittarius rising. Well, do I? Let me think. Aries. Yeah, no. Oh, I have a Leo Saturn. Saturn and Leo. But I have a lot of friends that are Leos. Usually I try to find people who have earth energy and how to do it because I'm all over the place. But I have a lot of friends that are Aries. I have a lot of friends that are Scorpios, and I have a lot of friends that are Leos. So these people kind of keep me going. They kind of keep me going because I have so much Pisces energy. I'm usually at home sleep because I just woke up from a nap. Actually, I like sleeping. Man. My dream world is about as real as this world because I'm like, oh, I had a dream about a cat. That cat was weird. I'm a bit of a nomad. Yeah, you got to watch out for that. My son is Pisces, but I have a stellium in Pisces. Venus, Mercury, Pisces, Venus and Mercury, Venus and Pisces, Mercury and Pisces, Sun in Pisces. Yeah, a lot of Pisces stuff. I get tired of it. Sometimes you get tired of crying. Nah, I'm not that bad. I'm pretty romantic and I'm just like, oh God, this is ridiculous. But I feel a lot of stuff. But my moon is in Aquarius, which is cool. It helps me control myself a little bit. Saturn is in Pisces right now, which is just helping me control the stuff. A lot of emotions right now. Last time Saturn was in Pisces in my life, I was in high school and whew, that's when I really got to work. And I got to know a lot of people. And last time Saturn was in Pisces in my high school years, I really got my life together. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but by the end of it, I was like the most popular kid in school. I don't know why. I don't know how. It just happened. But I really got organized. And I'm starting to feel that energy again now that Saturn's in Pisces again. I mean, I just reorganized my apartment and I was just like, okay, I'm tired of everything looking crazy. I got rid of a lot of old stuff. I threw some stuff away. I bought a new desk. You guys can't see it, of course. It's a beautiful desk. It's a beautiful desk. And I feel like, yes, I can do work here, which is why I got online because I was like, yeah, like my mic is here. My soundboard is here. Hold on. What? Yeah, I got everything organized now. So I'm very proud of myself. You have a Pisces friend. You got a friend in me. You got a friend in me. I don't get on YouTube a lot, but I try sometimes because YouTube don't give me no views. But yeah, I get a lot of views on TikTok, but they don't give me a lot of money. I do get my checks from YouTube because my old videos are still circulating from 2014. When I first got on YouTube, I was talking more about sexual stuff and like bisexuality and stuff. Those videos are still rotating. I'm still getting that change from it, which is good because those are what they call what is it called? I'm not, evergreen videos that they can recycle. Yeah, I know. It's just like I don't know about any evergreen material like this general that I can just talk about. that's never going to age. But we'll see. Yeah, I get a lot of residuals from YouTube just because of the evergreen material that I created back in 2014, 2015. The sexual videos, some of my old videos about, what was the big one? Soulless people, NPCs. That one hit big. The Statue of Liberty, Lucifer. That one hit a few times. DL guys. That one kind of got a lot of views. You want to teach tarot and astrology? Lord have mercy. Maybe. I will see. We'll see. I might have to do a whole like playlist on that. On the how, cause that would be long. That would be hideously long. I could do it, but it would be hideously long. But it would be more my interpretation of the cards. I know the general settings. The general settings. But yeah, I was thinking like do a playlist. But I'm about to like revamp everything because I just bought. Well, I didn't buy it. I have a software to redo everything, and so I'm about to. I haven't used it yet. YouTube, yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It changes so much. It's just like you just got to keep up with what's going on. I'm kind of slow to a lot of stuff. Like I said, I just got on, TikTok, and I haven't even utilized Instagram to its highest potential. But it's exhausting because I'm like, how do people post 24/7? I do have a day job, or what some of my friends call the matrix job. I have a matrix job, and it's like, how do people have time to post 24/7? And I know that some of it's scheduled, but some of it, like these people post like on relevant stuff that's happening today, and I'm like, yo, y'all making videos and they look great, and they talking about stuff that's happening today, and I'm like, what are y'all using AI or something? I'm like, how are y'all doing this? I mean, maybe it's their full-time gig, and I get it. If it's your full-time gig, you got to put some content out there. I mean, I don't feel the need to always put something out 24/7, but there are people I follow that have content out. When I wake up in the morning, they got content. They're talking about something. There was one guy I literally just unfollowed because he had content 24/7. Like, I was like, how are you talking? I'm going to bed and he's still posting. Like, and I was like, I can't get notifications like every hour. And I literally unfollowed him because he had too much content. Like, he was posting all the time. I was like, does this dude sleep? Does he just record stuff and it just haven't scheduled out? But I was like, I don't know. I'm old, but I look good still, so it don't matter. But I was just like, how? Maybe somebody will teach me, but because it does take time. Like, especially like doing a live video doesn't take anything. I'm just getting online, but if you like record it and you edit and you have, editing shots and intro and all that stuff, that takes time. Like, that stuff is not easy. I've done it. So I don't know. Maybe these people have a team, and that could be possible. What I've learned though as well is like, don't judge yourself because of how someone else's success, because they may be doing stuff that you don't know about. They may be having struggles that you don't know about. That's not mine. I'm just trying to figure out how they do it. Give me some tips, y'all, and then I will just figure it out. But yeah, I'm just trying to keep up with the times and at least put something out there, and it's like, hey guys, I'm still here. But yeah, right now for YouTube, I'm just like, okay, well, I'll do the reaction videos. I'll do my tarot on TikTok and Instagram. because those are kind of things that are not evergreen. It just kind of happens. And I realize that people don't usually on Instagram and TikTok, they don't go and look back at your older videos unless the algorithm brings it to them. And most of the time it doesn't unless you're offline for a second. Because I usually don't see old videos of other people unless I go to their profile. So most of the like stuff that you need to see now, if I'm gonna talk about an instant, like this is what's happening now, I'm gonna put it on TikTok and Instagram. But YouTube, I'm like more like long-term things, like this is the stuff I want to talk about. This is stuff, You said I binge videos. Oh, you like my content? Cool. My content's still like all over the place though, especially on YouTube, because I've talked about everything on YouTube, which is kind of like my whole personality. It's like I'm not just one thing. There's my sexual side, my spiritual side, my conspiracy side. This is like me at the bar, basically, which is like this is kind of how I want it to be. It's like me at the bar, and like whatever happens, like whatever we talk about, we talk about. You said that's that Gemini energy. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, because my Gemini friends, we talk about everything. We talk about everything. Me and my Gemini friends, oh Lord, the conversation is endless. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I love it too. Yeah, sometimes it just happens. It just happens like that. Like, especially like when you're just sitting there like, how do we get in this conversation? Like, how do we even get on this topic? It's hilarious. Like in real life, when I'm hanging out and we start talking deep about some subject, and it just goes so far to this tangent, and we're like, how did we even get here? What it is so wild. And that's just me. That's how I like to talk. And I feel like my YouTube should be more of my home base of who I am. Yeah, exactly. Yep, same way. Same way. I was the same way. Yeah, I'm still the same way. I haven't really changed. Yeah, and my friends, they would just be like, we would just be drinking wine and stuff, and just be like talking about everything. If like, I wish they were online now, but they're probably out because it's Saturday, so they're probably out. So I'm gonna go out and try to see if I'm gonna find some folks. I'm not gonna get in troubles. What time is it? It's still early. Ain't nobody out. They don't know. I'm telling you, you're gonna find somebody. You're gonna find somebody who's a chatty catty like you. They're gonna have to be. You got all that air energy. You're probably gonna be the motivator. Yes, we're gonna have to maybe I'll have to change the channel to the rabbit hole. That sounds nasty, but either way. That would be crazy. But like maybe we could do it virtually. Anywho, I'm gonna go out and see what is going on with the world. Thanks, Indigo Child, for hanging out and more, and have fun like for the rest of your weekend. There's some stuff that's coming up, but I have to do not have to do. I get to do the what's the word? A psychic fair tomorrow. So there are some things that I want to talk about astrologically, but I'll probably do a Tarot Tuesday or something and talk about that. Some stuff. We have the new moon. Actually, the new moon is on the 2nd in Virgo. And then we have a lunar eclipse. And I wanted to kind of bring that to some attention. But I'll talk about it later. I'll probably just make a video about it. That'll be easier. So if you see it, be sure to like it. But I'll probably make a video about it, a whole video about it. So to kind of clue you guys in. All right. I'm going to get on out of here. I've been at home all day taking naps, as Pisces do, and see what the rest of the world is doing. Have a great night and make your reality happen, because if you don't do it, then who will? Talk to you later.